Hello, we're continuing our series on how to fight fair, dealing with anger. One of the things, if anger isn't controlled, it can create an environment of toxicity.
Yes.
Toxic environments. A lot of families are living in toxic environments. Good hearts mean well, want the best to come out. Who doesn't want to have a happy home? But when the environment, because of the emotion of anger, is spewed out of that relationship, it can be very, very, very dangerous. James 1:19 and 20 says this: "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God." This is a very important tool we're putting out right here. Slow to speak. Why does God give us
one mouth and two ears? It's so very important. The atmosphere that you create is the product that you produce.
Yeah.
And I think about the product as our children. Our children see when we can't control our anger.
Right, if we have children in the home.
Yes, and not only do they see it, they feel the tension in the air. They feel the animosity. They feel the resentment. And one thing about children, that's going to hinder their skills when it comes to school. It's going to hinder their creativity. It's going to hinder their emotions because the house is so full of strife.
Yes.
The house is so full of hate. And it's almost like, you're opening the door to the enemy.
Yeah.
So we've got to be so very careful about that atmosphere. We want an upbeat, loving atmosphere. Sometimes you just have to cut that atmosphere by laughing. You got to cut that atmosphere by changing the subject, because we know that toxic atmosphere can really cause some damage in the family.
And we're talking about high control. It's like a poisonous entity coming in and just starting to take over. Some gases, like carbon monoxide, you can't recognize until you're dead. Now, isn't that something to realize? And that's how anger is like that type of toxin. It comes into the environment. After a while, we just get used to shouting. We get used to hollering. Now the kids are hollering. The dog is hollering. The fish is hollering. Everybody's hollering. And now that becomes normal. And then before we know it, that environment we take with us to our jobs. That environment we take with us to our places of recreation, even to our church. We take it because it's going on here at home. And we want a refusal to control anger can cause a serious problem. And this environment, when we don't want to bring that environment under control, it can cause some very, very serious problems.
We say, all the time, private victories equal public victories.
Yes.
When you have a victorious home, it's so many wonderful things that come out of that. When you don't control your anger, it can affect you relationally.
Yes.
Bitterness, resentment, estrangement, a desire for revenge.
Wow.
That first happens in the home, but if you don't deal with it, you will start to snap at the marketplace. You'll be snapping at your job, and your coworkers wondering why you're angry. Well, you're not really angry at them. It's displaced anger. You're angry because of what happened at home.
Right. How about psychologically? Different moods, fear, depression, hopelessness. All these things play on, we talk about the psyche, the mind. You start seeing things that are really not there because of a mood swing, hopelessness. When I've seen people just got paid and you're sad. You just got paid. But that's what happens when our emotions are out of control. Someone maybe gives you a compliment. Well, that's a nice dress you have. And you go, what's so good about my dress?
That's the depression.
Yes.
That's depression that's kicking. Another one is intellectually. You're not able to create. And even if there is a problem, you know how they say we make a mountain out of a molehill. It's a small problem, but because you're so stressed out and that atmosphere is toxic at home, you can't even solve a little problem. So this thing about anger, we got to get control of it.
Yes.
We don't want it to affect the different dimensions of our life. God has given us great tools, slow to speak and swift to hear. Let us practice that and see how God will come in and bless our marriage.
Yes, so much more to share about this, but we'll be back for another session.